Hi, I'm here, Jordan, and I just quit my job during a pandemic. Not only did I quit my job, I quit my job 2 days after my girlfriend got laid off, and we have a 1.5-year-old baby. So let's talk about it. Why would you ever do that? Well, there's actually several reasons why. First of all, I had been planning this. I talked with my boss, aka my friend, Robbie, at the beginning of 2020 in January. We talked about what's going on, how much longer I'm going to work for him, and I let him know that I was planning on quitting at some point this year. And he was totally cool with that and wanted to help me transition into doing my own channel again like I did before I worked for him, which is really a good thing to have when you work for someone. So I had been planning on exiting and just working for myself again this year before COVID hit. But then COVID hit. I was going to quit and just make my own videos and my own music again, which, by the way, I'm going to be doing. I'm sort of setting up a room inside my living room. That's why it looks kind of weird. I'm not done, but I'm going to try and upload every day for at least the next couple of weeks. At the very least, sit down and work on something and try really hard to get a video up every day and see how it goes and see what kind of rhythm I fall into, what types of videos are best for me. So anyways, that's what I'm quitting to do, is to do this YouTube channel. But I don't want to mislead anyone. Quitting your job to do YouTube sounds kind of fairy tale-ish. You got to remember, I did YouTube for a living for like a couple years before I even had a job. So this is not new to me. And I had been planning it. COVID definitely made things complicated. Now, financially, I don't make enough to live on just doing my own videos, which is scary. But here's the thing. Some months I almost make enough on good months. And you got to remember, I only spend 3 or 4 days a month working on my channel. What would happen if I went full time? I don't know. It might fail, but I have a pretty good step to the point where it was worth taking the leap. Finances weren't the only reason, but they were definitely a big part of it, in that having a job was costing me almost more than it was worth. It was really, really stressful trying to juggle everything because I want to keep making my videos. Even if it's just one video every week or two, I want to stay current on my channel because this is my brand and this is ultimately what I plan on doing in the future, is making content. But it was very hard to get ahead financially. For one thing, we moved up here because I was going to be getting paid more to work more and do more in person. And I know that he had in mind that he knew my girlfriend was getting laid off. And so it would be helpful if I worked more, kind of part-time before. So it'd be more full-time and more money, but we had to move out of state and it's more expensive to live here. And that's something you got to consider too, is that sometimes working a job requires you to live in a place that costs more. And so it's like, you might make more money, but you're spending more. And then the money you make, you have to pay more taxes on. But if it's almost not worth it, and then I got to pay taxes at the end of the year on top of it, it's like, okay, maybe we should have just lived somewhere cheap like we used to. And that's the thing, is it was so stressful and so hard for me to juggle everything because we don't have any family in the entire state. We don't know very many people here. So we have no family, no grandma and grandpa to help babysit, right? We have a 1.5-year-old, 2 young people alone who don't know what the heck they're doing, but trying their best to figure it out. And so for me, it was like I would work. It would take me 1.5 to 2 hours of commuting a day. The light turns green and nobody moves. So that was a lot of my time. It was eating up. And then by the time I'd get home, I would take the baby and watch him until bedtime. And pretty much when he would go to bed, I would have to go to bed immediately because I'd have to get up for work again. And if I didn't, then I wouldn't get enough sleep. Like I would maybe get 7 or 8 hours of sleep if I went to bed right away. That seems okay on paper. It's like, yeah, every minute is accounted for. Right. Well, what about personal time? Like, when am I going to shower? When am I going to dye my hair? When am I going to make my own videos? I pulled so many all-nighters. I was basically juggling. This channel is its own job. I just was sort of neglecting it because I just simply didn't have the time. But I pulled so many all-nighters in the last 2 years. Legitimately no sleep for like 36, 48-hour spans. Sometimes I've done it twice in the same week, just trying to like keep my channel alive, doing like the minimum possible to still upload while keeping my job, while also taking care of my son. And it's just so much. I was getting so burnt out. But I mean, that's what I signed up for. I knew it would be hard, right? That's the thing though. Things are hard sometimes and still worth it. Doesn't mean it's not worth it just because it's hard. So what? But it was sort of like, okay, we're not getting as ahead as we thought. There was a big initial cost to move here. Not being able to recoup that after a couple months was getting sort of disheartening and frustrating. And then it was like, all right, well, maybe we just shouldn't live in this city. Maybe the city's too expensive for us, because if we had stayed where we were before, like in that area, in a different state, one, we would have family close by to like help with the baby and also just be by family. And two, we could have afforded to live there just based on what I make from my videos. So it's kind of like, all right, well, if we're not getting that, like the whole point of coming here was to get ahead financially. We're going to make more. We're going to save more. Going to be stressful, and that's okay. But it ended up being probably too stressful. And I know I was going to make more if I could stick it out, but it was so much at once that we just decided it's too much. Maybe we bit off more than we could chew. It's nobody's fault but my own. So, okay, back to the original plan A, which is I'm exiting this year. Screw COVID, quitting and doing my own thing. This is what I want to do. I love being in control of my own work. I love to work. Actually, I have it tattooed on my hand, which doesn't mean anything, but it means something to me. I chose that because work saved me in a way, which I don't mean to get all abstract and emotional or whatever, but falling in love with my work has changed my life. Not hitting a time card and going to a job, but my work, like making good videos or good songs, things that I actually make money from, even years down the road. That's another thing. Some of the videos I was making, most of them don't do well right away. But then I look back 6 months later and it's like, wow, or a year later, it's like some of the videos I made like a year ago have actually made me like $1,000, $2,000 for one video. And it took time. It didn't happen overnight, but it was like, every day, if a few more people or a few hundred people watch it over the course of 6 months to a year, like that money adds up. It's like, wow. So let me get this straight. Made $1,000 or $1,500 for like 1 day's work or 2 days work. Why am I doing anything other than that? Why am I doing anything other than making these videos that over time are going to get views and I'm going to get paid way more per hour for them than any job would pay me? I know it's not a guarantee, but if even just a couple of them do well over the long run, it's worth it. So I feel like I'm getting off topic now, but basically working for other people doesn't suit me. I'm not very happy having to answer to other people like as a boss, even if they're my friend, even if they're awesome and nice and cool. That's just not for me. I'll do it. I'll definitely do it. I've done it, but I prefer to be in charge of my own day, my own schedule. That just suits me much better. I'm very self-driven. I don't need someone to tell me what to do and how to do it. In fact, when I'm on a team, usually I'm the one who's like trying to improve things and trying to always raise the bar. Having a job, I just always tend to take on extra responsibility, and a lot of times I'm not. I get so wrapped up in it, and I'm like, why am I doing this? This isn't my thing. Like I take it on like it's my own, like it's my own company, like it's my own project, even if it's not. And so that's why it's better for me if I just work for myself, because I really do put my best into everything I do. I try. And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, hey, you have a kid, you can't quit your job, because people treat jobs as like the almighty. Somebody else signs your paycheck and whatever. That's not how I see it. I used to. For years I did. I used to work in factories and like jobs, like grown-up jobs. Honestly, I can make more money not having one. And I don't say that to brag or make people feel bad. It's just that I've spent years learning how to make YouTube videos and how to monetize them, how to get videos ranked, blah, blah, blah. It's a skill set that I've developed, right? It's not like, oh, I'm too good for a job. It's not like that at all. It's that I've learned this skill that I can actually make money from. And I have no fear whatsoever about like, oh, I'm not going to make enough money. Maybe I won't make enough to live here in this expensive city. This apartment has a clause that we can actually pay a fee and just break our lease. So we're not even bound to be here for a year. We can leave. We just have to pay the fee. So it's like, all right, it's not the end of the world. And another thing, I forgot to mention this earlier, dang, is that YouTube doesn't pay you right away. So this month, it's November now, and I'm not just now about to get paid for September's views. So I already know what I'm getting paid this month, and I already know what I'm getting paid next month. So I know how much I'm gonna make until the end of the year. And I know that it's fine. It's enough. I have a little bit saved, but the next 2 months will be fine. Like, we're not going to run out of money because I already know. I already earned it. It's money I've already earned. It just hasn't come in yet. So it's kind of like when you have a normal job on Friday, you know what your paycheck's going to be because it was for last week's work. Well, YouTube is like that, but like 2 months ago. So it's like, yeah, I know what I'm going to be making like 2 months in advance. So I know I have at least 2 months to figure this out before I don't have any money coming in. Like this month, if it totally flops and I don't get a single view, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm still going to be having a normal income for the next 2 months. That gives me some padding, gives me some time. It's not the same as like quitting your job and you have zero money coming in. You want to start a business, but you don't have, I already have a business. This is a business that I have been maintaining, and now I'm just gonna go full force on it. And if things do fail, if we have to move out of our apartment, that's okay. We'll go live somewhere cheaper. We can do that. And worst case scenario, this is something I've thought about because of like COVID and the rioting this year and just all the stuff. It's like, what if the nation just crumbled and like modern society just like wasn't even a thing anymore? What would I do? Well, I actually own a tiny house on wheels that I built myself. And we talked about this. We're like, if things go bad, we're just gonna get that. It's on the back of a van, minivan that I cut up and turned into a tiny house. I vlogged about it, but we were like, yeah, we'll just get the van and just drive off into the desert. It's totally self-contained. It's solar powered. It's got heat. It's got running water. Do have to refill the water tanks. It's got air conditioning. That's not solar powered. It would take too much solar power. But everything else is solar powered. It's pretty self-sustaining. Like obviously it doesn't grow food, but if you can acquire food and water, you can live in that thing just fine. I mean, we did it. We did it while she was pregnant. So it's like, I'm just not afraid of failing. I don't think I'm going to fail, but even if I did, it's not like we would end up on the street, but we're not going to fail. Because if over the next 2 months I realize, wow, I actually can't make a living doing this again like I thought, or if my views plummet, or if YouTube stops paying. That was another thing that happened this year is because of COVID. More people were watching, but the ad rates went way down, at least for my channel and some other channels too. So it was like, man, I was making less even though a lot of people were watching. If the ad rates would have been normal, I would have made so much money, but that's how it goes sometimes. And if that happens again and it's like, uh-oh, we're screwed. Well, we're not screwed. We can live somewhere cheaper and still afford it. And I still make a little bit of money from music too, even though I've totally neglected it because I've been working a job. It's like people still listen to your music on Spotify and you still get paid for that. Years later, even if it's not a lot, it's like, well, how much do you need to live? We know how to live cheap. And I know people always, the way people talk about kids kind of bothers me. It's like, well, think of your kid, think of your son. I am thinking of my son. Do you think he wants to have a dad that's exhausted and stressed out and only sleeps 5 hours a night? Is that thinking of my kid? A dad who pulls all-nighter like every other week? No, I don't want to be a zombie. I want to be a dad to him. So if we have to have a little bit smaller place, or we have to live in a city or even outside of a city that costs less than where we're at now, that's fine. He doesn't even care. He noticed no difference from when we moved here. I mean, it's a more expensive place. He doesn't know that. His life is pretty much the same. It's good, except for I work more, and that's not a good thing. So making more money is not always the answer. Sometimes making less is. By making a little bit less, I'm going to have disproportionately more free time and energy and peace of mind. And I'm not saying that's anybody's fault. I'm not saying jobs are bad. And I'm not saying my job was bad. I got paid very well for what I did. For editing, he paid me well, but it just wasn't what I needed for my family with the amount of consistency I needed. YouTube's just crazy. And also working from home saves me a lot of time and energy commuting. So there you go. That's why I quit my job during a pandemic. Should you quit your job during a pandemic? Probably not, unless you've been planning for it like I have. And if you've been planning and it's ready, when it's time to pull the trigger, pull the trigger. If it's time to quit, then quit. You can plan for these things far in advance. I mean, January, that was 11 months ago when I talked to my boss and was like, yeah, I'm going to quit this year at some point. 11 months ago, I've been planning this. And even last year, I talked about it with my girlfriend before, because November and December are like the busy season for YouTube. And we talked about it. And I was like, yeah, this is probably gonna be the last busy season I work. And then I talked to my boss about it in January. So really it's been like a year in the making of exiting the job while still having some financial stability. Anyways, if you're in a similar situation or you're thinking about leaving your work or frustrated, hopefully this gives you some insight. It was not easy. It was not easy to keep making videos. It's not easy to pull an all-nighter. It sucks. Sometimes you do have to burn the candle at both ends in order to get ahead. Even like I said, I was only spending 3 or 4 days a month on this channel, but it was enough. It was kind of like the bare minimum to keep it alive, keep the views coming in. That's like 1 day a week. And a lot of times I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning so that I could spend an hour, a couple hours on my own stuff before I went to my normal job, which sometimes that's what you got to do. And sometimes you got to do it for a long time, even a whole year. But to me, it's worth it. I'm excited to be making videos. I'm going to figure this out. I don't know exactly what I'll be doing every day because it's a big jump going from like a couple videos a month to like, hey, I'm going to upload every day now for a little while. Hopefully that gave you some insight, or maybe you were just curious of how it all works, because I know I am curious sometimes, or I used to be, about how stuff like this worked when I just didn't even know what I wanted to do. The best thing to do is just start doing it. Whatever you want to do, start doing it now. Even if you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and do it for 2 hours before your day job, just do it. And eventually you'll start to get good at it. And then maybe eventually you'll figure out a couple ways to make a little bit of money from it. If you can make a little money at it, then eventually you can make a lot. And I'm not there yet. I'm not making a lot, but I'm making enough that I'm comfortable making the jump. And it was time. It was just time. So that's it. Thank you for watching. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm looking forward to this. See you soon. Bye.